Boom, boom, boom. Give everybody a second to come on into the stream and get everything firing on all cylinders. What's going on, Tom?
Not a whole heck of a lot, man. Still working on the kitchen remodel, and kind of coming down from the finale of the NFL season, really. So,
Yeah, we're with the Super Bowl. Last we talked, Tom, I was the guy. I was being cynical. I was being grouchy. I'm like, man, I don't know why Philly even bothers. The
yeah,
refs and the Chiefs have this in the bag. I couldn't have been more wrong, Tom. I mean,
no, it was a
I
blowout.
I talked to so many people that day, right? And I'm asking before at the grocery store at my kids' bake sale, what do you guys think? Chiefs, Eagles, Chiefs? And everybody's saying Chiefs. Chiefs are going to dominate. Eagles don't even stand a chance. Well, fly, Eagles, fly. Because I have never seen the Chiefs get dismantled in a significant game, let alone the biggest game of the season, 40 to 22. Tom, what
Yeah, and it
happened in
wasn't even that
Kansas
close.
City?
It wasn't even that close. I mean, those were garbage time points at the end. Really, they got thrashed. I was happy. Anybody but the Chiefs. If it's not the Broncos, I don't want it the Chiefs or the Raiders or the Chargers or a few other teams I can name. I definitely don't want to win.
Well, and being out here in Colorado, it makes sense if you see the occasional Chiefs jersey. They're not out here in droves, folks. They're not. I saw a few of them out there. My kid had a project she was doing, and we were doing a volunteer type thing. So I saw a few jerseys on Super Bowl Sunday morning outside of the grocery store, but not a lot. I didn't see one Eagles jersey, not one. I mean, not even a t-shirt. Maybe it's where we're at here in Colorado, but you're damn right, Tom. People were pumped that the Chiefs not only lost, but they got their asses kicked. And that's something we rarely see, something we always see: support, love, and showing out from our guy David Big Papa Bear. What's up, man? $5 over on YouTube, in before everybody else. Good evening, Broncos country. That's a big fat no on Germaine Pratt.
Wow.
Let's go, Bo. Holy cow. Well, David's obviously reading what Nick Kendall's putting down at milehighhuddle.com. Extra, read all about it. Nick's got an article up right now asking the question: should the Broncos pick up the phone and call Cincinnati about Bengals leading tackler Germaine Pratt? David says no. Tom, what say you? Last I checked, Broncos needed an upgrade. Is this the upgrade that we're looking for?
Well, I'll tell you why they need to call. They need to find out what the cost is, right? Because for my stance right now with this inside linebacker crew is it's going to be completely remade. And, you've got Alex Singleton coming back from an injury, major injury in his 30s, right? You've got two unrestricted free agents that are probably gone. You got, Sanders, who we can't figure out what position he plays. And you got a, undrafted rookie free agent from last year that's left over. So most likely this linebacking group is going to look completely different. Now, the reason why I kind of lean towards yes, a couple reasons. One, he's a tackling machine, but he's a little bit more impactful when it comes to, in the passing game, getting interceptions, forcing some fumbles than Alex Singleton is, right? A little bit. Not much. He's not the answer by any means to their woes that they've had for so long at inside linebacker. But it's worth a phone call. I kind of lean the other way, too, because, he does miss some tackles. He's not a super dynamic player. You need, if they really want to go out and trade for somebody, go get somebody who's their true difference maker, really, and from my mind. But
that's a good point. And, the reason Nick brings it up, just like us, Nick in Broncos country, we all see the hole and the desired upgrade that needs to happen at many positions, linebacker being one of them. And I hope Nick thought about me when he wrote that article, because, it's my old podcast partner, for crying out loud. I've never met a linebacker I didn't love, as Nick would like to say. And he's right, man. I'm a sucker for D linemen and linebackers. I like me some running backs too. It's interesting, this news coming today, though, on a Wednesday. This is per Ian Rappaport. Bengals defensive captain and leading tackler Germaine Pratt has requested a trade. Sources tell me and Tom Pelissero. Cincinnati has been devoting resources to keeping their offensive core together, and Pratt was close to DC Lou Anarumo, who was fired after last season. Now, it's important to know DC Lou Anarumo, if memory serves, he is now with the Indianapolis Colts. Not sure if Germaine Pratt is that type of high-profile NFL/NBA player, right, that can force their way like a Luka Doncic to the Lakers. I want to go here and nowhere else. I don't think that's Germaine Pratt, but it's interesting when you look at it. He's the team leading tackler. He's a captain. He's not the most mobile guy, but he's an attitude guy. He's a spirit guy. I encourage everybody, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out Nick's piece. I'm curious about it. I like you. I think it's worth the phone call. I don't want to give up a bunch for it. Late round draft pick at best. Sure. Sign me up. You look at the Broncos depth chart at linebacker, something you and I have been doing these last 3 weeks. And at one point, Tom, you were scaring me about a total overhaul, right? Talking about Alex Singleton coming back from injury. Justin Sternad, what does the future hold with him? Cody Barton, I would love to have Cody Barton back. But if you have Cody Barton, Alex Singleton, and Germaine Pratt, don't you have three of the same guy?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too is Pratt's 28, right? So he's actually, I think he's definitely younger than Singleton. I think he's either younger or the same age as Barton and Sternad. So it's not like you're getting an old timer to come in. He's still got a few years left in him, but yeah, the price has to be right for me. I mean, if you are trading for someone, I hope it's a difference maker. And it's like the way I see it is everybody's linked to the Broncos, right? Anybody that's available is linked to the Broncos because they were a fringe playoff team. They need a few pieces to get over the hump. So anybody that is demanding a trade or may become a free agent, it's like, oh, the Broncos are top on the list. So it's funny that that's happening, but from my perspective, he's not the true guy that can come in and make that defense that much better. So it can't be too high of a pick.
It's interesting at this time of the year, and this time of the year being the first week after the Super Bowl, right? I know the Broncos have been busy since the day they lost to the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs this year. I get it. The offseason's officially started then for them. For the rest of the league and for us, really, it starts this week. So the pie in the sky trade scenarios, I don't know if this is a pie in the sky trade scenario, right? Because it's Germaine Pratt, probably low value trade pick. At least that would be my idea for capital. But then you see the Cooper Kupps of the world wondering about that. I see Chad writing articles about Deebo Samuel. No, thank you. I mean, it's just that kind of year. So that time of the year, rather. So it's really, really funny. C-Dubs, Cody coming in, man. $5 over on YouTube. What's up, Cody? My dad is a Chiefs fan. What? I'm going to stop you right there, Cody. I got to know the story. Dad's a Chiefs fan, but you're loyal to the orange and blue. I need to know how that happened. My dad's a Chiefs fan, and he bet the Eagles to win. He didn't think the Chiefs were mentally in it. He's seen Chief players out on the town and in the spotlight. Yeah, Cody, that was weird to see the vibe from Kansas City. I mean, there wasn't a lot of confidence there. I don't know if the Chiefs thought they would show up and the Eagles would just roll over and die from the get-go or what. But I said it on these airwaves last week, Tom, and I believed it then. I believe it now. The Eagles were the better team in all three phases. I just didn't see them winning this game. I mean, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, what a disaster Andy Reid's offense was. You got my guy Mark Schlereth out there poking fun at Travis Kelce today on social media, pointing out plays where homeboy's not even running routes. He's just standing in the middle of the field, quitting on his team. I ask you this, is this the fall of the great Kansas City Chiefs? Are we witnessing it?
It kind of feels like it, but I mean, you got a Hall of Fame coach and a pretty dang good quarterback there. So I don't know if it's really the fall, but man, it was quite a beat down. It did look like they weren't in it. So there might be a little bit of a lag. And on top of it, you've got a lot of big ticket free agents that, they're going to make some decisions about here. I think they had like 5 players who made up like 75% of their cap or something like it's crazy number. So they had a run longer than most teams get that, go all in to try and win it. And it might be a bit of a lag.
Yeah, I saw it on social media just like you did, and Cody circling back around. My mom's a Broncos fan, so I grew up watching Owen. Nice. Mama's boy right here, Cody. So I definitely shout out to your mom for battling your dad and making sure that the right team won in terms of the Broncos. I don't know about players going out on the town of New Orleans or anything like that, but I did see Pat Mahomes' dad out there trying to fight John Rocker. What the hell is that about? Oh my goodness, what a terrible look for both of these guys. But Pat Mahomes' dad, man, he seemingly can't stay out of trouble. I don't know how many DUIs we're going down that road. It's just a mess, a mess, a mess. His brother, Mahomes' brother, had his issues well documented. His wife's not everybody's cup of tea, but I don't like to talk about another guy's wife. It's just one of these things, man, where it was a bad look all around, I think, for the Kansas City Chiefs and that nightlife optic. Did you see it? Did you see the wannabe scuffle between John Rucker and Pat Mahomes' dad? I didn't know what to make of it. It looked like a couple drunks in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, it happens every game. They just happen to be famous, I guess, or well, not famous but known.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's crazy the way the whole thing shaked out because I didn't see it coming that way. What'd you make of Sean? We saw Sean Payton last week, right? I mean, Sean on that opening walkout to support New Orleans and the tragedy that appreciated that. I respected that. And I know he's all in on Denver, but it was a touching tribute, I thought. It was cool to see Sean there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's where he got his start as a head coach, had some success, so why not? I mean, you gotta show love for kind of where you came from. And even though you're with a new team now, you got your roots in that city. So it was good.
Yeah, listen, speaking of good, it's a good time of year. I know football's over. The offseason's here. We're covering all your offseason needs over at milehighhuddle.com, including trades, free agency, the NFL draft. We have got your back. But guys, listen up. It's also basketball season. So when your favorite star scores a bucket, we're going to give you an alley-oop opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. Do you want to win up to 1,000 times your money? Well, you can with Underdog.
To play, choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats like points, assists, rebounds, and more. Underdog's got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Create entries with all basketball picks or mix and match across other sports. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into 1,000 just with your hoops knowledge.
Boom, guys, download the Underdog app today. Sign up now using our promo code MHuddle to unlock a special offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code MHuddle. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text next-step to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Boom. Guys, what's up? It's Wednesday night. He's Thomas Hall, Scott Kennedy, Luke Patterson, rocking with you here on MHI. Let's say what's up to some of the folks. David Yonkin was quick to come in, just stopping by to say, hey, what's up, and have a great show. Adam Strange, what's up? Bronco Maniacs, man, we're still enjoying and, I don't know, praising the Eagles. We're celebrating the Chiefs' demise. I'm pumped. It's great. It's great to see the Chiefs suffer just a little bit of misery. Adam Perner went off a moment. Yeah, he's funny guy, friend of the show. Look at our guy, Roy. What's up, guys? All I can say is no to Deebo Samuel. Obviously reading the Deebo Samuel trade connection. You can read about that over at milehighhuddle.com as well. I'm going to ask you this, Tom, because I'm an old head. That's what the kids call us these days, right? They used to say worse things, right? But old head, I'll take it. I don't like the halftime show. I hated it. Again, it's not for me. It's not for me. The game is supposed to be for me, but I thought the game was pretty bad too, right? It was pretty bad quality. I didn't like the commentating. I didn't like Brady. I didn't like the commercials. I knew I wasn't going to like the commercials. I knew I wasn't going to like the halftime show, but this beef that's going on with Drake and Kendrick Lamar, it seems to have all the youngsters captivated. What do you know about this beef, Tom, between Kendrick Lamar and Drake? I know you're ready to tell me all about it.
Yeah, well, I wish I could, but I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry. I am not in the pop culture currently. So unfortunately I don't. And I didn't even watch the halftime show. I was busy. I trying to get that kitchen remodeled. And so I was not in the mood to sit around and watch a concert that I didn't really know who was even involved.
No, but the numbers are interesting, right? I think I saw he shattered Michael Jackson's halftime performance, and I mean, they call that guy the king of pop, right? I mean, so I like Kendrick Lamar. I listen to Kendrick Lamar. I'm a huge Dr. Dre guy since I was a kid, right? I'm a 90s kid, so I like hip hop. I like all kinds of music. So my iPod would truly shock and horrify probably everybody. But I don't know, man. It's not for me. It's for the younger generation. It was cool to see people so excited about it. Serena Williams crip walking. I didn't quite see that coming and don't quite understand why. It made some people mad. I see Stephen A. Smith is out there saying, "I divorce her." I'm like, Jesus, over a dance? The game must not have been that good, Tom, because we're talking about everything but the game when we're just getting into some Super Bowl leftovers here. I know you didn't get to watch the whole thing, and I didn't watch the whole thing either, full transparency. I kind of turned it off and checked out after halftime. I'm like, I'm ready to go upstairs, go to bed, kind of take it easy, get ready for Monday. What's your biggest takeaway, Tom, from the Super Bowl? Because I see it out there on social media. People are wondering, did the first domino fall with the Kansas City Chiefs? And you said it at the top of this very segment. The Chiefs are locked up in cap hell. $175 million. That's using approximately 63% of their cap space on 5 players. Of course, Pat Mahomes comes in at number 1 at 66.3 mil. Chris Jones, 34.9. Jawan Taylor, 27.4. Joe Tooney, 27. And Kelsey, 19.8. If I had to put a hot take together, I would say Travis Kelsey is the dead weight on this Kansas City Chiefs offense right now.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look great all year, like not up to his standard. He's getting older. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on from him. I'm not going to write off again the Kansas City Chiefs like they're going to be terrible from now on. But a couple things happened. One, the blueprint was pretty much out there for anyone to follow versus the Kansas City Chiefs if they want to get some victories next year against them. Obviously, you got to have a good defensive line who can get after the passer.
Specifically, Tom, whose blueprint?
The Eagles. Yeah, Vic Fangio's blueprint.
Freaking Fangio. Now, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Vic Fangio, Tom? What?
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. It is. But I think there's a lot of vulnerabilities, and it's kind of getting exposed now. If they figured out the offense a little bit. It was just a major beatdown. It could just be a bad game for them. And, they won a lot more games this year than I thought they were going to. Some of it had a little help, but I'll tell you, man, it was an eye-opening experience because I did not see it coming. So I think there's some chinks in the armor there.
Yeah, I do too, and that makes me happy, right? Because the AFC West is up and coming. I don't know what the Raiders are doing out there. I don't know what they're going to do with Pete Carroll. But 3 out of the 4 teams were playoff teams last season. That's pretty impressive for an AFC West. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to happen in 2025. And I'm sure if you ran the data, right, or if we just went and looked, we could pull up a whole bunch of teams that didn't make it the following year, right, from the same division. The point is, it was odd to see the Chiefs get dismantled the way they did. And I especially when they have a good defense, right? It's no longer just Mahomes doing all the heavy lifting. The defense has been doing some heavy lifting the past couple seasons now. Todd Ostendorf weighing in on his Super Bowl takeaways. I love Samuel L. Jackson, but the music portion, not so much. Yeah, I couldn't figure out Samuel L. Jackson's deal. He's one of my favorite actors. Tom, Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie. We fight about it all the time. I love Samuel L. just as much as the next guy, but I could not figure out what his deal was. Was it like a Mad Hatter act? He was kind of like this narrator for a concert that we didn't really need. At one point I saw him on social media. He's just chilling on his phone. It was odd. The whole thing looked really, really odd. I guess I was surprised Slash didn't pop out of a cake with a guitar, right? It almost seems like Slash is at every Super Bowl or every big event. But yeah, I don't know, man. Samuel L. Jackson, I couldn't figure that one out, Todd.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really pay attention to it. So, I mean, the whole thing to me is kind of a blur. So I apologize that I'm not in the know of the halftime show for the Super Bowl. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I wasn't really into it, so I didn't watch.
I like Scott's message here in our ear, and I like to give some shout outs here because I think this is something you were hitting on, and I can completely agree. Scott weighing in. If you can dominate with your front four, you're a good defense. Fangio Smangio. Howie Roseman's the guy that should be getting the flowers, right? I mean, 4 first-round edges and 3 first-round DTs in his 15 drafts. That shows that he prioritized the big guys in the middle, right? He get the big uglies. They mean a little something to Howie Roseman, whether they're on the offense, whether they're on defense. And they've truly, the Eagles, they built that team from inside out. I mean, the ground up. It's just, it starts with the big uglies on the O-line and the D-line. How do the Broncos get a D-line like Philly? You saw positive directions. You saw the team set single sack franchise record bests this year and continue to reset them. How do they take that next step as a unit? It's not the DC. It's not Vance Joseph, right? To Scott's point, it's not always the DC. Sometimes it's truly the players and the personnel.
Well, they've kind of started it, right? They've got a couple decent edge guys. They've got Zach Allen. They've got Jonathan Franklin Myers, who, came over. He's only here for another year, I believe, but they have the makings of it. If they can find another piece, they could for 2025 that can dominate in the center there. I think they've got the makings of it, but it all comes down to, the Eagles did, draft well and fill out that rotation well. So, but keep an eye on the Wazirike. I just have this, his growth was stunted. I mean, he oozes everything you want in a D-line. 6'6", 320, athletic. He's gone for a full year. They brought him back, so they obviously like him. If he can kind of develop, get a full offseason and develop, maybe he's the kind of the guy that takes that next step and helps fill out that rotation.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait around on the Wazirike. I know you're not big on DJ Jones, but I would almost rather put my eggs into the DJ Jones basket. But I don't know, Tom. They're getting closer. Like you said, when it comes to the defensive front, when it comes to the edge rushers, sure would be nice to have some linebackers to complete the whole damn thing, wouldn't it? Yeah. And you got to do it from the ground up too, right? Like, I don't want the Broncos to go out there and spend a king's ransom on a linebacker in free agency. Why? Because there's not one that I just absolutely have to have, first of all. And two, I don't think this team is just a linebacker away, all right, from the AFC Championship game, let alone the Super Bowl. I mean, you've got to truly figure out what your identity is on defense. And here we go. Year 3 with Vance Joseph and Sean Payton. I mean, lots of success, but not enough. What do you project for Vance Joseph to change this year? Or what should Sean Payton's expectations be for Vance Joseph's unit? He had all the time in the world to go a different direction 2-3 different times now. Sean's sticking with BJ.
Well, the big thing is stopping the run. I mean, they've got to figure that out. I know that it's a passing league, but they got exposed in the playoff game versus the Bills. So they've got to figure out how to make sure they're stopping the run consistently. They don't have to be the best run stopping defense in the league, but they can't have a back go for 120 in the first half in a playoff game any longer if they want to move forward in the playoffs. So that's one. Vance Joseph's got to figure that out. But there's a couple key pieces that he's missing. One, he needs more interior D line for one. Needs an impact linebacker, and probably get somebody at the safety position that can make some more plays. I mean, I like PJ Locke. We talked about it last week, but they could use an upgrade there. So there's a few pieces that he needs to add to it. But stopping the run consistently to me is a big deal.
I completely agree. And I think the Broncos should call the Bengals about linebacker Germaine Pratt, right? Defensive captain, leading tackler. I think they should call, but they should call the Broncos or the Bengals for another player, right? Jamar Chase. What do we got to do to get the Jamar Chase deal done? Because that truly could change just about everything. I know, pie in the sky, hard to get it done. Probably it will not happen, right? Let's just go ahead and say that. I suppose we've seen crazier things. But Tom, we got some breaking news, if you will, over on social media, on X. I saw this right before we were hopping on.
Oh, no.
Broncos starting left tackle Garrett Bowles has accepted a high school football position at Legend High School, in which he is going to volunteer his time as a mentor to Legend High School's players. He is still going to be your starting left tackle for the Denver Broncos, but last week, Legend High School hired ex-Russell Wilson QB guru, Jake Heaps, as the head coach of the football team. You might remember the same Jake Heaps that can't stand me for suggesting that he muddied up the waters here in Denver. What do you make of Garrett Bowles stepping away for a little bit in the offseason to spend his time with some young, aspiring high school players?
Well, I think it's admirable. I mean, he's a pretty good person in the community. I don't think it's going to take so much of his time that he can't prepare and get ready for the season just to being a mentor. But it's nice. It's something he can do, volunteer his time. And then who knows, once he retires, maybe that kind of, moves him into more of a coaching realm. You never know.
That's kind of where my head was going. And I think that's cool too. I think it's admirable. My first question is, where does he find the time? I know it's the off season, but we live busy lives as husbands, as fathers, and I only have the one kid. You guys all have multiple kids. I don't know how you guys do it. You're animals. But it's cool to see that, and you've got to know that the Broncos ownership group feels good about that, and they've signed off on it. Sean Payton doesn't care; he's cool with it, and this comes right after the Walton ownership group just bought every high school player a brand new Rydell helmet, right? So it's pretty cool to see the Pat Bowlen legacy continue in terms of the Broncos volunteering their time, their resources, their players volunteering time away from the facility, independently from the team. I like that. And I don't know. I guess I'm kind of curious what the future holds for Garrett as well. He was one of the most successful left tackles in the league the past couple seasons. He's not getting any younger, but his play, he's doing quite well. Mike McGlinchey, I know he drives me crazy, right, with some of the penalties and the missed assignments, but Mike McGlinchey's been one of the most productive right tackles this year as well, Tom.
Yeah, no, I mean, Garrett Bowles was surprising. I actually thought they were possibly going to let him play out his contract and move on from him. He got a contract extension. I mean, his play warranted it. So it was good to see him back. And it's good to see that, they're keeping that O-line for the most part together. Hopefully they upgrade a little at center. But continuity as is important in the offensive line. So having them together again will be, I think it'll be a benefit.
Yeah. And this is the type of news we want to hear, right? Of course, Garrett Bowles, Mike Liss has it up on his X account right now. Garrett Bowles accepted a mentor volunteer position with Legacy High School under QB guru Jake Heaps. Right? What's that mean for Russell Wilson? That's kind of where my head goes, right? And Adam Strange. Sounds like Broncos players are showing character. Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice to give an off-season story some shout out instead of the bad stuff, the bad publicity? Nobody wants that. And I think Sean and the Walton Penner ownership group are doing a good job monitoring that. I think the players are doing quite well being adults away from the facility, not getting themselves in trouble. When you look at offensive tackles with the lowest allowed pressure rates, both Broncos tackles are on there, Tom. Garrett Bowles was number 5 with 3.5%, and Mike McGlinchey at number 10 with 4.5%. So they kept Bo pretty healthy. Bo has some legs, which is good, and will keep him alive as an NFL quarterback. But I don't know, Tom. Maybe I was a little too hard on both tackles this offseason.
Yeah, well, everybody was, because they didn't. I mean, especially McGlinchey wasn't playing up to his contract by any means, but they turned it around and they had some good seasons. The guards both had pretty solid seasons. It was the weak spot in the middle, but otherwise their offensive line wasn't an issue, which is nice. So keep them around and upgrade those skill players.
Tom, talk to me. I know this is one of your favorite subjects, so a little peek behind the curtain. Tom and I are always texting each other, sometimes complaining, sometimes football, sometimes just life. What'd you make of the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025? I've been saving this conversation. I've been wanting to ask you about it. I had a text all written out to you I was going to send right when I heard it. But I thought, you know what? Let's save this for MHI. Thomas Hall, what is your official reaction to the class of 2025? Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, Sterling Sharp.
Yeah. Well, those 4, I think, deserve to be in there. I mean, I question Eric Allen a little bit, but I think he's good enough on there to make it if that's what they see fit. So I don't have any problems with who made it in. I have a big problem with how they changed the voting process, which eliminated people who probably should be in the Hall of Fame and created a backlog for other deserving players. So changing the way they do that It kept Mike Holmgren out. It kept some of those older other contributors out.
Torrey Holt, wide receiver.
Yeah, Torrey Holt. I mean, there were
that
it was why they changed it. I don't know.
Eli Manning, Tom. That was my big one, right? Not to just start screaming at you like you were the one who didn't vote for him, but Luke Kuechly. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a strange change of events, and you know what? It's going to make it even harder for Mike Shanahan to get in, right? I mean, Mike Holmgren got the nod before him, and he didn't make it in. So now we're looking at Mike Shanahan, wondering, okay, when he gets the nod, are they going to not be able to vote him in because of these new rules? So it's a little bit more difficult to get into it. Already very difficult Hall of Fame to get into.
Yeah, Darren Woodson. Snubbed as well, right? Yep. I mean, good Lord, you get to see some of the names on this list. Even Steve Smith Sr., Terrell Suggs. Some of these guys can wait, right? But Fred Taylor in before, not in before Jared Allen, and I loved watching Jared Allen. I'm
not a big fan of Fred Taylor. I don't think he deserves the Hall of Fame.
No? Well, Jesus. No. Tell us how you really feel, Tom. Reggie Wayne, I think that's an interesting one as well. And that's where our friend Pearl's coming in. Like, dude, these two aren't in there. Mike Shanahan and Eli. And, you start thinking about it. You cannot write the history of the NFL. You cannot tell Tom Brady's story without Eli freaking Manning. And yet, the guy's just completely goosed when it comes to the Hall of Fame on this first ballot, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's going to get in. There's a lot of debate about his, he's got a lot of stats, but it was from longevity. He was never really the best quarterback at any one time. But the two things that he's got going for him is 2 at Super Bowl MVPs, plus, the longevity stats. And he was the giant killer, 18-0, and Eli Manning, takes them to victory. Obviously it was the defense, but Eli Manning, quarterback, gets a lot of credit. He made some good throws. So, that'll get him in, but not first ballot.
It's interesting when we're talking about how the Eagles completely dismantled the Chiefs just days ago in the Super Bowl. I didn't know, and maybe you heard about this. Did you know that Vic Fangio had another shot at coming back to Denver? That was kind of revealed during Super Bowl week. I thought that was really interesting. And Fangio said, quote, "We were going to do that, but at the time I thought it was too early to go back." Wow. So instead of pivoting from one head coach, Broncos went to another in Vance Joseph. It was just kind of weird how the whole thing worked out. I thought it showed a really mature response from Vic Fangio and a very reckless decision from Sean to try to what are you gonna do? You're gonna fire Vic and then rehire him the very next season, and all of a sudden Sean's giving the marching orders? How do you think that would go? The whole thing seemed odd.
It did seem odd, but he was one coach removed. Don't forget about Hackett, even though we want to, was in there for a year.
I totally do, Tom.
But it would have been as odd as Vance Joseph coming back, as the defensive coordinator. But maybe a little more odd. But it was interesting to hear that he was kind of grasping at defensive coordinator straws at the end there, trying to get somebody to come in and end up with Vance Joseph. So it was weird all around. It was late to the game.
Yeah, it's just interesting when you hear some of those little stories, right? And I'm happy for Vic Fangio. I really am. I don't think Vic came in here and set the Broncos back because he is a horrible coach or because he hates the team or any of that. No, I just think he's a grouchy old defensive coordinator who knows what he likes. And I respect that. I really do. We are who we are in this world, damn it. And Vic's comfortable in his own skin and he's been very successful. And I congratulate him, man, on that dismantling of the Chiefs. And it was cool to hear, at least I saw on social media, the Dome Patrol, right? His favorite group he's ever coached ever. He'll tell you all about
Patrol.
It. Yeah, and out of New Orleans, they're texted him right away after the Super Bowl, congrats and everything like that. I saw an old school picture of Vic Fangio when I think he was with the Carolina Panthers. His hair was still kind of black. I mean, holy cow, this man has been around the league for some time. It's cool to see he got over the Pat Mahomes hump when it mattered the most.
Yep. Well, and don't forget, it wasn't just then. I mean, his defense kind of wrote the book on how to contain that offense, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs offense, when he was with Denver, and people started copying that, to keep them from moving the ball so quickly down the field, and making them really work for it. That was the beginning of what he then implemented in the Super Bowl, which was a relentless defensive line that got to the quarterback without any blitzing. So
boom, sunny days coming in. I did my part, y'all. Hit that like, smash. Really, really appreciate you, Sonny. Welcome to MHI. It's Wednesday night. We're getting into some Super Bowl leftovers. We're reacting to what the Broncos should do this offseason. Amid the report today, Germaine Pratt wants out of the Cincinnati Bengals. The leading tackler and defensive captain does not want to be there anymore. So Nick Kendall wrote up an article at milehighhuddle.com. Should the Broncos kick the tires on the team leading tackler out of Cincinnati? Extra, extra. You can read all about it. How about yesterday? The news, the domino finally fell. We thought this was coming, but you had to wait until after the Super Bowl. Per Mike List, right? Source confirmed Saints interim head coach and special teams boss Darren Rizzi was notified by his team that the Saints were going to hire Kellen Moore as the head coach. Rizzi was the Saints head coach candidate finalist. He is now the lead candidate for the Broncos special teams coordinator. I guess I read that too quick. I thought maybe he was hired here in Denver. Doesn't sound like the deal's quite done.
No, it seems like they're kind of dragging their feet on filling those coaching vacancies for some reason. Is Sean Payton on vacation, or is what's going on?
I don't know. He was hanging out with John Gruden. You never know what those two are getting into.
Yeah, who knows what's going on? I mean, I understand Rizzi because they needed to wait to see if he got that job, and what was going to happen in New Orleans. But there were other vacancies that could be filled with other coaches that I haven't heard anything yet. So it's just interesting. We're coming up on free agency. Draft season has started. We have a no position coach for inside linebackers that we've been talking about, where it's probably going to be a whole new look. Why don't you hire that inside linebacker coach to come in and start making that group into his likeness, so to speak. So it's an interesting dragging of the feet for the coaches.
Maybe he's waiting to hire all Chiefs or Eagles assistants. I don't know. Like, it's just the timing is odd. And yeah, I don't know what the wait is about. And talking about free agency in the offseason, well, let's take just a microscope to that Super Bowl that we just watched between the Chiefs and the Eagles. It looks like Nick Bolton, Justin Reed from the Chiefs. Maybe you want to kick the tires on those guys in Denver. You're very familiar with them in terms of preparing and game film, playing twice a year. And then the Eagles, man, linebacker Zach Bond has made himself some dollars, Tom. Yep. Would the Broncos be able to kick the tires on a Nick Bolton or a Zach Bond? We're talking linebackers. We're talking safety. Well, Justin Reed's pretty damn good safety. Nick Bolton, one of the best linebackers. Zach Bond, holy cow, what a season. All pro coming out of nowhere.
Yep. Well, they should. I mean, they should explore the price tag on all those guys because those are needs. But here's my take, and I wrote about it, so I'm a little bit biased. The Broncos also can't chase free agents to fill needs all the time. They've got to trust their evaluations of the players that they've drafted and brought in. They've got to let them develop, and you got to let some of those players kind of step up. So instead of going out and spend in free agency, really kind of, do you have players on that team that you consider going to step up and take some of those roles? And one of them is JL Skinner. Do you need to go get a Justin Reed if you think JL Skinner is going to take that next step? You trust your evaluation, trust your development program. Hopefully, you don't have to spend a bunch of money to go fill these needs. And I know you're going to have to spend some,
right?
But like everybody says, you don't win the Super Bowl in free agency, right?
With the checkbook.
You've got to make sure that you bring in key free agents, but you don't have to bring in a free agent for every spot that you think is maybe lacking.
That felt like at times that was the John Elway plan because you had Peyton Manning, right? So when you have a known commodity like that, yeah, sure. Go spend as much money as you want. Whatever Peyton wants, let's do it, right? But
exactly.
You don't know. I mean, those Hall of Fame quarterbacks come around not very often, right? I mean, you're hoping Bo's the guy. We know that for sure. Do I think he's going to have a Hall of Fame career? I have no clue. I don't even know if he's going to have a sophomore slump, Tom. I mean,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to look at a little bit, right? Like, what are the new expectations for Bo, for Sean? And we're going to get into that as this offseason progresses. But listen, you had a story that just published, right? 8 hours ago. 6 young Broncos poised for bigger roles. And you just talked about one of them, right? With JL Skidder. I know you and I have been on the linebacker train with Drew Sanders. Talk to me a little bit about Audric Estime and the running back room, Tom. So many folks, including myself, feel like it needs a huge overhaul. Where does Audric Estime, as a sophomore in the NFL, a second-year player, how does he fit in to Sean Payton's offense in 2025?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to need a workhorse back. If they don't go out and I think they're going to go and try and get one in the draft. I really do. I don't know if they're going to spend money in free agency looking for one. Maybe they will. With Estime, you want him to develop into at least a key rotational workhorse type player. The problem with Estime was first series out of, that he got, in the first game he fumbled. So he was kind of in the doghouse. He never really got going. And a back like him, you need to give him more carries. You can't just give him 5 carries a game and expect more. He's a workhorse back, needs to kind of grind it out and wear down the defense, so to speak.
His nickname is Lil Bus after Jerome Bettis from Notre Dame. All right. That's who they envision him as, like, not a Hall of Fame running back, but a blue collar, pound and ground through the tackles, not a lot of flash, all meats and potatoes, right?
At the very least, he needs to be that second player off the bench to relieve the starting running back next year. That's at the very least, I think. They drafted him for a reason. Everybody was excited when they got him, even though he was a 6th-round guy. That's what he needs to at least develop into. Now, I think they need a more dynamic running back, a more home run type hitter that can do it all in that backfield as a starter. But Estime needs to be a contributor for sure to at least get 10, 12 carries, hopefully, to kind of relieve that starter. I don't know if he's a starter next year, but he's got to step up quite a bit more than he did this last season.
I think he's your default starter right now.
Yes.
Right? Because we all know that Javonte's out. We know that between Jaleel McLaughlin and Marvin Mims, Sean Payton is convinced that one of them is the Joker. There it is, Scott. He's one of them is and it just does not work, Sean. So I don't know. You look at running backs in free agency too, and what? Want to do the Melvin Gordon thing again? You want to spend a ton of money for a running back that's been injured, who his best days are behind him? And I like Aaron Jones. I do. I like Aaron Jones. You know what Aaron Jones I like? I like Aaron Jones from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, okay? He's not the same player at age 30 coming out of Minnesota. Najee Harris, man, Najee was a big dud for me in the NFL. I thought he was going to come out of college and do some really special things. Maybe it was Pittsburgh, maybe it wasn't, but I wouldn't back up the Brinks truck for Najee Harris. What are you going to do? Jeff Wilson out of Miami, A.J. Dillon out of Green Bay, Nick Chubb, what's that look like? So you look at free agency and it's tough. And then Javonte's that name right behind him. I agree with you. I think the Broncos are going to go high at running back very early. I think it's going to be the Boise State kid. I've heard rumors since last fall that Greg Penner really likes him. Now, Greg's not the one making that call, but it's a lot easier for the head coach and GM to make that call, knowing that the owner completely supports you with that specific player. Now, I think Sean's got ownership's support no matter what, and Sean's going to make that decision. But running back has got to be it. And, it's a little rich for me in the first round, but it's so damn important. Tom, it's so important to run the ball and take pressure off of this quarterback. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You're going to ruin him? You want him to become Andrew Luck? Is that what we're going to do to Bo Nix? That cannot be the recipe.
If Gente, if that's how I'm pronouncing it right, is there at 20, why not? I mean, the guy's a heck of a running back. He's going to change that offense incredibly. Sure. I don't know if he's going to be there, but that's the thing, is you never know. The NFL is so weird. Like some years they're like, oh, we're going to grab a running back early unexpectedly. And then other times they just kind of fall. So it's strange when it comes to running back, but yeah, if he's there at 20, I would take him. He's going to be your difference maker.
Yeah, you ask a million different people, a million different things, you'll get a million different answers. I'm gonna put Scott on the hot seat. I've missed the Senior Bowl past few years, Shrine too, a couple years. What do you think, Scott? You think is he going to be there? Genty going to be there at 20? Maybe. Hard to say, right? Because everybody's looking for the next Derrick Henry to help Lamar Jackson, right? And he's not Derrick Henry, by the way. But like when you've got that type of force, when you've got that O line that can grade ahead, and gosh dang it, Tom, I thought I was going to make it through a whole show without bringing up Luke Wattenberg. But I can't do it, but I'm not good enough to do it. I just wish the center position we could get an upgrade there. Scott's found a guy for me in this draft at the Senior Bowl, and I just don't think the Broncos give a rip. I think that they're content with Luke Wattenberg. I've been poking around that all season, and I finally someone told me stop. Luke Wattenberg's the guy. All right, so it's hard for me when you see glaring holes, especially when we're talking about the quarterback. How can we make the quarterback better? Well, it starts with the center. I think miss snaps and miss calls and flags and the Kansas City Chiefs game in Kansas City last year. Some of that stuff is really hard for me to get by. And I don't know that a rookie running back coming into the starting lineup like Genty is really going to change all that much.
Yeah. I mean, well, remember too, the coach has to scheme a way to hide the weaknesses of the team, because you cannot have an elite player in the salary cap era at every single position. There's going to be weaknesses. If they're okay with Wattenberg, fine, but you have to be able to make sure that running game is still working, right? Even with a weakness in the middle, and you've got to be able to scheme those plays.
Yeah, you need to make sure it freaking exists, Tom. Last I checked, we're running Texas routes and little fullback dives to Michael Burton, and it's working so much so that I want him back. I'm like, Jesus, we need Michael Burton back. Well, it's because the Broncos don't have a running game, and they don't. And Sean drives me up the wall. The Vance Joseph and the running game and the Joker. Those three damn things with Sean, man. That's my guy. That's my guy, Sean Payton. You guys know that. But man alive, I cannot figure out. Sean, you know what? You asked the question, is Sean on vacation? Why aren't the Broncos filling all these coaching assistant needs? I hope he is on vacation. And I hope someone's telling him the truth. I hope someone's honest with him. And someone's like, Sean, you have got to figure out a way in the next 4 months to get out of your own way. I don't know if that's Joe Lombardi. Who's that guy for Sean? I don't know who his support guy is. But someone in that man's life needs to have an honest conversation with Sean, because he's officially at the fork in the road in terms of his NFL career. One path leads down one Super Bowl. You'll always have it with New Orleans, and you brought the Broncos back to relevance. The other, potentially 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams. Man, you can't do that without a freaking running game.
Yeah, absolutely. And they need to figure it out. I think he's too focused on, he's really focused on the Joker position. And I get you need a difference maker that can, exploit matchups and everything. But that's kind of putting the cart before the horse when you don't have a running back that can get you at even 100 yards in any game in the last almost 3 years or whatever it's been. It's not, those are nice. That's a nice to have. But if you have a glaring weakness at running back, just doing their basic function of running the ball and getting yards, then you might have a little bit more of a problem than just exploiting a matchup with a kind of a toolsy skill player.
Well, and I like, Scott's reminding me too. Remember, running back's cool again this year because of Saquon Barkley, right? I brought up Derrick Henry, right? But like Saquon, man, one of a kind. And you look what he does in the passing game. Man, I look what Saquon does in pass protection and get excited. Like, when do you see a running back willing to stick his neck in there? Not on a linebacker, on a defensive lineman. Chris Jones type of stuff. That's pretty damn impressive to me. Save the backward jumps, save the athleticism. When you have an all-pro Pro Bowl running back that truly gets it, something like that, hot damn, that's special. Roy, what's up, Roy? I hope you're recovering well. Thinking of you and yours, bro. Okay, Broncos are at 20. Tyler Warren or Ashton Genty. I can't go tight end that early. I know, Roy. I know the Broncos need a tight end. I don't have an answer for that just yet. I do want Jawan Johnson. free agent coming out of the Saints. Now, he was a converted wide receiver coming out of Oregon. He's Sean's boy, former New Orleans guy. Look out for that one. I'm sure it's coming if it's not already in the works. But tight end in the first round, that's tough. I see Broncos country's kind of split on this, Tom. Where do you fall? Play devil's advocate. You and I both want the running. You and I both want the running game together. But tell me why the Broncos should look at a tight end in the first draft or the first round of the draft.
I mean, because their tight end group was miserable. To play devil's advocate, they have to have a tight end who is an upgrade of somewhat to what they had. I mean, they basically had warm bodies out there playing tight end. And that was, I mean, they gave them nothing. I mean, I don't even know what their leading tight end had, like 12 catches or something like that. It was pretty low. I mean, there's no difference maker. So, I mean, you could go either way. I prefer not to have a tight end in the first round. But, both of those positions are positions of glaring need. They need both of them. They need somebody to step up in running back or tight end to be a real playmaker, which they were missing it. They were completely missing that from those two groups last year. So either one, but I would lean running back in that situation from between those two.
Me too. David Schlosser Jr. coming in on Facebook, guys. Hit that like button and give this show the likes that it deserves. Remember, Broncos country, you make this show every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. It's MHI. We've been rocking, man, I'm going to have to go back and look, a few years now. Nick Kendall and I started the show way back on Saturdays. And speaking of Nick Kendall, there's going to be a new look at Broncos for Breakfast coming up soon. Head on over to @MileHighHuddle on social media and check out all the good news. Nick and Eric are going to start rocking and rolling. Scott is officially passing the torch. And what a cool success that show's been, Tom. I'll tune in, and that's when I see all of Broncos UK, Euro, around the world, wherever Broncos country is not in the United States, they're watching Broncos for Breakfast. And it's cool that our publication, us as a group, us as a team here at Mile High Huddle, we don't forget anybody. And whether you're on the corner of the globe or right here in Denver, Colorado, man, we've got a podcast for you every single day of the week. David, thank you so much, man, for all of the support. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, look, Adam Troutman, 13 catches for 188 yards. Yeah. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 31 for 293. Yeah, so look, I don't want to, it's not like I'm scoffing at the tight end position, all right? Because, Roy, as you know, the Broncos have needed a tight end so bad. Stay away from the Big Ten tight ends. They never seem to work out for Denver. All those Big Ten tight ends always end up in the injury room. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Jake Butt for years and years.
Todd Harriman.
Yeah, Hireman was another one. They called him the Flash, right? For a reason. It's crazy, man. There are lots of needs, and it makes you wonder what Sean Payton is truly going to prioritize, right? Last week we were reacting to his interview with Kay Adams on Up and Adams when he's saying what you've got needs, musts, and wants, right? Mm-hmm. And it's you and I are debating what those are for Sean, right? What is a running back a need? Is a tight end a want? Is a wide receiver one? What's that mean? Because Sean wouldn't talk about Cortland or any wide receivers at all. It's really interesting, man, because with Sean, he tries to be the sneakiest person in the room. Every NFL coach does, right? Probably not the rookie head coach, just because they don't really know what they're doing. Speaking of that, not knowing what they're doing, Kellen Moore in New Orleans. How do you think that's going to go?
I don't think it's going to go very well at all. He doesn't. There's more to being a head coach than calling plays.
I don't like
X's and O's. It's about being a leader. It's being able to take your philosophy and instill it and make it happen on the field. Kellen Moore does not seem like that type of player. He seems like he's a great offensive coordinator. He doesn't seem like the type of, and I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know him personally. Just to me, doesn't seem like the person that's going to be able to manage that every aspect of that team, the different personalities, everything and make it work out on the field. I just don't see it being a success.
Yeah, I don't know him either. I mean, he looks smug to me. I just get smug vibes from him. I could be completely wrong, but he looks like the guy that's too good to bag his own groceries in line. That's Kellen Moore to me, right? Like, that's just me, though. I'm not a Kellen Moore guy. Maybe I'm tainted from his years in Dallas and anybody that goes through there, right? But remember, Luke, Sean Payton was once with Dallas. We don't want to talk about that. Dallas Cowboys did Sean a favor by not hiring him years ago and letting him go to the New Orleans Saints, something Sean has never forgotten. Let's see here. Todd Ostendorf, Jaceki is probably the best tight end under 30, but would rather get a young tight end. Yeah, you got to start developing some of your own guys. You've got yourself a young quarterback. You do have a young running back. You've got a million young wide receivers. When the hell do we want a tight end to start growing with Bo?
Yeah.
It's probably now.
That's the problem too, is you don't have anything. Like, at least at running back, Audric Estime is somebody you drafted recently, you hope can develop. But when you look at the tight end group, Lucas Kroll, who's been around for a few years, hasn't developed. Atkins hasn't developed. Troutman's the old guy. I mean, there isn't anybody that you can point to and say, I expect this person, or I at least have some hope that this player develops into something. They don't even have that at tight end. At least they have that at running back. So when you're weighing, who you draft, maybe it is a tight end, because there's really nothing there, and there's no hope for anything there in the near future without going to the draft to get one. It's a bare cupboard at tight end. It really is.
What happened to Donald Parham Jr. when he was signed?
They let him go. He was on the practice squad, and then they didn't sign him. As far as I know, he didn't get a futures contract or anything. Just like, see you later.
I was excited about that one, Tom. Not like, oh my God, the Broncos found their guy, but at least they have a guy. But again, maybe it's the same conversation we talked about with, some of these linebackers. You don't want to just get three of the same guy. And I'm talking about Germaine Pratt, right? We're talking about Alex Singleton, Cody Barton. What's the future look like at inside linebacker? Well, you can't have three of everybody, and you need to have complementary pieces. It's all about fit in the NFL. That's the thing nobody ever wants to talk about. Scott's exactly right. And I refuse to give them any credit because of the team that he plays on. Brock Bowers is the best tight end under 30. And that's true, man. He also has the greatest hairline under 30. It's crazy, man. But no, it's going to be curious to see what the Raiders do, right? With Pete Carroll. Tom Brady is part owner out there. What are they going to do at the quarterback position? What's the AFC West going to look like in 2025? Man, it's coming. It's quick. And Tom's always telling me, live in the moment, because you're always saying, I can't wait for this. I can't wait for that. And then it's here. And I've missed all this time. Don't miss anything, guys. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. We've got all of your off-season news up and rolling. We've got giraffe coverage. We've got podcasts every single day at 6 p.m. Mountain. Things are just moving well here in Broncos country. The Chiefs lost. They're miserable. We're happy. It's a new day when it comes to Broncos country, Tom.
Yeah, exactly. Preparing for 2025, and the first thing that the Broncos have to do if they want to unseat the Chiefs is have a winning record in their division, which is something they have not been able to do. They have to do that if they have any chance at all of being the division title winner. So that's their first goal. Second goal is to take care of business at home.
Oh, Mr. Williams is trying to trigger me on the way out of the show. Bring back Noah Fant. Only if we can bring Drew Lock back too. All right. That's only if. I absolutely love it, man. No, I hear you. There's a need there, right? So the Broncos country's trying to kick the tires on anyone and everyone. We don't need some of these retreads. Last I checked, Noah Fant. You know what? That's a good argument, Leroy, because when I start to think about it, he probably was the best Broncos tight end in since Julius Thomas. So
that they drafted. Yeah. I mean, it's possibly.
I could sit here and scoff at it, but the point is still there. Like, you gotta figure it out. And that's what we're going to do every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain. Guys, head on over to X. Give Tom a shout out at Thomas Hall NFL. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. Head on over to Scott's social media as well, at Scout Kennedy. Some real exciting stuff in the works for this next off season. Stay tuned. And another fun show, Tom. I had a blast. Thanks for all your help, Scott, and Broncos country. We march on, man. I thought we would be in here talking about a Chiefs three-peat and having to witness that damn Super Bowl parade, at the end of the week. But we don't have to deal with any of that, Tom. It's going to be awesome.
Exactly. Philadelphia is, they're far away. They're the NFC. It's good for them. It's wouldn't bother me. I would be miserable if I had to put up with another Chiefs Super Bowl victory. Oh God.
Yeah, no, we're not doing it. We are moving forward, and we're doing it with orange and blue. None of that red and yellow. None of that Taylor Swift. None of that stuff. It's gone. Broncos are on the rise, a team to watch out for. Guys, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out the news of the day, including Bo Nix kicking off 2025 as a dark horse NFL MVP candidate. Chad has the story. Scott. Tom has an article up as well on 6 young players that the Broncos could be poising for upcoming roles in 2025. Is there a need to spend in free agency? Yes, there is, but don't overspend. Check out Tom's 6 players to look out for. Appreciate you guys so much. Broncos country into the offseason. This is the way.
This is the way.